Give me some of your time and I'll erase your weakness, not because I'll give you motivation or fill your ears with empty inspiration, but because you'll finally see what you've been calling weakness for what it really is. An illusion, a narrative, a system of lies you've repeated so often that you've mistaken them for your personality. If you're willing to listen closely, if you're willing to sit through discomfort and let Nietzsche speak to the parts of you you've kept buried, something inside you will break. And what replaces it won't be a better version of you. It will be the version that was always there, waiting for the moment you stopped protecting your weakness. Nietzsche didn't believe in comforting the weak. He didn't write for the fragile, the endlessly anxious, or those searching for reassurance. He wrote for those ready to confront life without illusions. Those who realized nothing is coming to save them and decided to stop waiting. If you've had enough of fear, passivity, apologies, and the emotional softness that has rendered you invisible, then this is your beginning, not your transformation, your return. Because strength was never outside you. It was buried under self-doubt, social conditioning, and an addiction to comfort. So let's begin with a question. What does it mean to be weak? Most people think weakness is being emotional, sensitive, or lacking discipline. But weakness isn't emotional expression. It's emotional submission. Weakness is needing permission. It's outsourcing your validation to people who don't understand themselves. It's choosing peace over truth. It's lying about what you want to avoid judgment. It's calling laziness self-care, fear humility, and insecurity empathy. Weakness isn't the absence of strength. It's the presence of self-betrayal. And here's the brutal truth. The modern world is designed to make you weak. Education trained you to obey. Culture trained you to conform. Media feeds you helplessness, disguised as awareness. Even people who say they love you often benefit from your softness, your silence, your hesitation. They praise your selflessness and reward your passivity, not because it's good for you, but because it keeps you small, predictable, and dependent. Nietzsche saw this clearly. He warned that the individual must struggle not against physical forces, but against the psychological pressure of the tribe, the pressure to neuter instincts, soften edges, and trade power for acceptance. He didn't mean becoming violent or chaotic. He meant remaining dangerous in a world that demands you be polite, obedient, and harmless. The first step in erasing weakness is realizing you were trained to confuse weakness with goodness. You were taught that saying no is rude, that boundaries are selfish, and that choosing yourself is narcissism. Nietzsche rejected that entirely. He argued that real strength, the kind that commands respect, comes from rejecting mass thinking, safety, and the need to be liked. So ask yourself honestly, who are you without the need for approval? Strip away the filters. Stop editing yourself. If you didn't need to be agreeable, humble, or passive, who would you be? What would you say? What would you walk away from? Most people can't answer that because they don't have a self. They have a mask, an identity built entirely on reactions and feedback. Nietzsche despised that. He saw it as the death of the human spirit. The moment you start filtering your truth to fit a system, you surrender your power. You feel that cost already. The quiet resentment, the constant fatigue that sleep doesn't fix. That's not burnout. It's the price of weakness. The price of silencing your instincts to keep the surface calm. Nietzsche would tell you this. You weren't born to be soft. You weren't born to tolerate everything. You weren't born to fold at raised eyebrows. You were born to embody something sharper, something grounded, something unshakable. And the reason you feel weak is because you've denied that part of yourself for so long, you forgot it existed. But it does. Now let's talk about habits, because weakness hides in routine, in subtle rituals that erode your willpower while convincing you you're fine. Nietzsche said that the one who cannot command himself will be commanded by others. You wake up and immediately check your phone. Before you create, you react. Before you choose, you consume. Every time you do that, you weaken your sovereignty, you lose edge, you lose command. So reclaim your mornings. Before screens, check your posture, check your breath. Remember that you are not a consumer first, you are a creator. Your energy does not belong to algorithms. Weakness also appears in speech, in how you dilute your words to make others comfortable, in unnecessary apologies. in saying maybe when you mean no. You leak power every time you do that, and people feel it. That's why they interrupt you. That's why they underestimate you. Nietzsche didn't whisper, he wrote with fire. Not to be loud, but to be clear. Clarity is force. Say what you mean without explaining it. Let silence carry weight. Most people fear silence because it creates tension. But tension is how respect is born. Now let's talk about emotion. Strength doesn't mean feeling nothing, that's dysfunction. Nietzsche didn't teach numbness, he taught command. You can feel deeply and still choose your response. Weakness is emotion without awareness. Strength is emotion under control. Stop calling yourself just emotional. That's not honesty, it's undisciplined identity. Discipline isn't cold, it's precise. It's the difference between emotional collapse and emotional intention. Nietzsche despised victimhood. He saw it as psychological slavery, not denying pain, but refusing passivity. So stop narrating your life as a tragedy. Stop turning trauma into identity. Pain is not your story, it's your raw material. No one truly cares what happened to you. They care what you became because of it. If you turn suffering into clarity, into discipline, into presence, your past becomes a forge, not a prison. Your purpose, your why, is not found. It's chosen. You decide it and carve it into your days. When direction becomes clear, weakness dissolves, distractions fade, doubt becomes noise. If you don't choose your purpose, the world will assign you one, and it will keep you obedient, soft, and forgettable. Now let's confront something deeper, the fear of being alone. Your whole life you've been trained to belong. School rewarded permission. Relationships rewarded agreeableness. Family rewarded suppression. Slowly you became addicted not to love, but to acceptance, the kind that requires you to shrink. Nietzsche would tell you that self-knowledge requires solitude. Belonging has a cost, and most people pay with their authenticity. You're done with that. You won't beg for a seat at the table anymore. You'll build your own. Solitude over submission, that's the upgrade. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's loyalty to an old survival contract. Somewhere you learned that power brings distance, honesty brings punishment, and ambition brings loneliness. So you learn to dim yourself. That contract has expired. You're not here to be tolerated. You're here to be felt. That requires clarity and intensity. Nietzsche said the snake that cannot shed its skin must die. Weakness is refusing to evolve because you fear who you'll lose. Now you shed it. Start with language. Stop fracturing your integrity with hesitation. Speak clean. Speak direct. Let people call you rude. That's the echo of a past version of you they benefited from. Then your body. Weakness lives in posture, in shallow breath, in lowered gaze. Change your frame and your story changes. Walk like someone who knows what he stands for. Presence comes from alignment, and alignment comes from conviction. Write down what you believe in so deeply that you'd walk away from anything that violates it, and live accordingly. Finally, kill victimhood completely. Stop glorifying struggle. Rewrite your narrative. Words are spells. Speak power or say nothing. You already knew all of this. The real you was listening, remembering what clarity feels like, what it feels like to say no without guilt, to protect your energy, to move without apology. That's not motivation. That's home. You can't unknow this now. You either evolve or you lie to yourself. So choose. Become someone real, someone grounded, someone present. This is your standard now. Guard it carefully, because your life depends on it.